another addition to my journey. And this is why I told you guys how it's not particular people, places, or things. It's a spirit. It's an energy, okay? And I'm going to tell y'all all about it in just a minute. But what made me want to get on just now real quick was as I'm out running my errands and things, part of that is window shopping for washers and dryers, right? So I missed one spot that I was supposed to go to, but I did go to one, and I ran across the other one. And so when I walk past, there's a cat in the window. There's like a little chair in the front of the window, and there's a cat. And I tell you what, that cat is better than a guard dog. It was up meowing at me like it was barking and doing the thing. The door was locked, so I guess, they open to who they want to, and who they don't want to, they don't. Or maybe they just wasn't there. I don't know. I don't know what the hours are. But anyhow, just wanted to share that. So backing up a little bit, I had to use the restroom, and I was going to stop in Popeyes just to use the restroom. I don't typically do that. I typically try to make some type of purchase when I go, because I just feel odd. But I did, and I thought I was going to walk right into the bathroom, but it was locked. So I thought, but no. So I came back out, and I was like, well, what do you know? Piggly Wiggly. I was like, this would be a great opportunity to go there for no reason at all and see what the response was, right? So I went to go to the bathroom. I didn't really know what a bathroom is because I don't typically use the bathroom when I'm out and about like that. So I walked straight to the back, and I was like, hey, can you tell me where the bathroom is? And the guy says, yeah, it's back through these doors. I don't know if it's in service or not. I haven't been back there, whatever. And so there's something going on, because like the white folks, the last time, he was a white guy, older, about my age. I want to say older, but now it's about my age. They're not older no more. But the last couple times I went there, the white folks that worked there, it was like they probably knew something or heard something, and they were like, I don't know, but it was from the point of this is a picky Percy or something. I don't know. But so as I started on my way back there, somebody came behind me and was like, excuse me. It was a little black girl, real skinny, real little, real black. And like black people do, diamonds in her eyes, but little dreads or braids or whatever. And she says, ma'am, I'm going to have you leave your bag up front. I'm going to have you leave your bag up front. And like I said, my energy is so high. And that's what's important, to keep your energy high, because when you bring it down low. So I was like, sure. And I gave her my bag. And she says, I'm a manager, whatever. I don't know how many managers they have, whatever. So I gave her the bag. I went on to the bathroom. I'm like, good. I don't have to sit my bag on the floor or try to sit on a sink or on a toilet somewhere, right? So, I said, well, what's your name? She told me what she said her name was. And I said, oh, yeah. And I gave her my name, right? And I said, thank you. I went on to the bathroom, and I came right back out. Now, when I came out, that's when I noticed what the culprit to all of that was, right? Because, and I hope y'all can hear me. I don't know if you can or can't. But that's what I feel like what I'm saying is important. But when I came back out, there was a girl, long red braids or dreads, a young girl, probably 18, 19, 20, one of those ages, pimples on her face, dull skin, all of that. So I remember as I was approaching, I was like, I'm going to call this girl's name. So I was like, girl's name. I was like, you got my bag ready? Did you put an extra $50 in there? I didn't think nothing of it. My vibration is high. I'm going about my business. And she was just like, no, I'm broke. I was like, oh, okay. And what I should not have said was that we're all in the same boat, because I have to remember to use my words to always bless versus agreeing with something negative that somebody else says, right? But I did. But it was just a joke, nothing big. And she says, okay, here you are, darling. And I matched it, sweetheart. And when I looked, and usually it pisses me off, but whatever you give, I'm giving it right back to you. I don't want it. It's yours. It belongs to you. I'm not taking responsibility for it. I'm not taking hold of it. No, that belongs to you. You keep that. But what got me off guard, the guy that's supposed to be a manager the past couple times, every time I go in there, something. So next time, again, we're gonna actively showcase that too when I go in. But you know, he's not playing the part of manager anymore. You know, as long as I'm in there, what the deal is. So what I noticed, that girl that I was telling you about, the young girl, 18, 19, maybe 20, long braids, she had a stank face on, you know. So she was mad. She was probably the one who was like, oh, that girl walked in here with a bag, you know, or whatever, trying to stir up something. Now, if that was my energy and that was who I was, and I was having a bad day, you know, I would have fed into that, but I did not. I did not. So it's so important. I'm gonna tell you sometimes, and that's why I say it's the energy. I don't think it's any particular person, any particular business. You know, who knows? Sometimes you don't think you have nothing going for yourself. Maybe other people do, you know? Maybe other people do. You know, I don't have food stamps. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, whatever it is, I do my own thing. But so much to say in regards to that. And let me tell you, the last time I went, I did end up getting my steak. And I got steak, burgers, chicken tenders, some other stuff, right? And let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you something about customer service. I'm gonna tell you something about people. I'm gonna tell you something about energy. And like I said, it's not you. It's not you. Keep your energy high. It's not you. And not only that, it's not even them. It's the spirit that encompasses them at the moment. Because let me tell you what happened. So the past few times I went, because again, you know, that night I told you I tried to get the steak late at night and they told me it was closed, but it wasn't closed. Then the time before that, I tried to make my purchases. For some reason, my debit card wasn't working. I was like, you know, that's weird. Well, you know, I didn't have my debit card number on me. And typically you just run it as credit, right? But I was like, okay. And when I mentioned it, the girl was like, oh, we don't do that. I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't think nothing about it. Went on about my business. Energy still vibrating high, because why should it vibrate low? But the last time I went, let me tell you what happened. That was the last time when you saw me with the blue shirt when I vlogged, a couple of vlogs ago now, because I vlogged a couple times today. But what happened was when I went to go cash out, right? And so I think it's a whole young girl clan, they get together. But the girl said she was new, right? I don't know if she is or not, because I don't really pay attention. I don't really pay attention. Oh God. I don't really pay attention to the cashiers like that, you know. I notice basic features: tall, short, fat, skinny, dark, brown, whatever, you know. But she tried the transaction different times. First kept saying transaction not completed, transaction not completed, transaction. I was like, what is going on? And then it says transaction not authorized. And I knew I had the right number because I intentionally wrote the PIN number down somewhere, right? I'm not gonna say wrote, but I have it in a location. And so I was like, that's weird. And I was like, well, let me step aside and call my bank. So I called my bank, and I was just like, hey, you know, this is such and such with such and such and such. You know, I'm at such and such at such and such location. I'm trying to process a transaction for X amount of dollars, but I'm getting all types of refusals and declines. And I was like, I was just calling to see if it's something on your end that I need to know about. And she was like, oh, no, ma'am. You know, there may be just an issue with the POS system. Did you try another register? I said, yeah. They even called a quote unquote manager, and I went to another register, right? And I'm about to show you where that guy accosted me in just a minute. So I went to the other register, same thing happened. And then she says, well, and I was like, that's weird. And I don't remember everything I said, something about, you know, why would that happen? And she was like, I don't know, you know, she's like, everything's good here. And what she told me is that she didn't even see an attempt to process it. So they didn't even attempt to process it. So whatever they were doing, they were canceling it before the thing was even attempting to go through, right? So I was like, oh, okay. I was like, why would that happen? She said, maybe it's POS system. Go to you know, did you try different registers? I said, yeah, actually with a manager. And so let me tell you something. And everybody's the manager except who they said the manager was at first, right? So I'm gonna tell you what happened. So I got a lot of memories right here, but I want to finish this story before I continue. So the bank lady says to me, she says, well, have them run it as credit. And I started to decline her before she said it, because I was like, well, I don't think they do that here, because I asked them before and they said they didn't. But I was like, well, let me see. Let me go ahead and ask. So I asked the quote unquote manager. I said, hey, my banker is asking me if you could do her a favor and try to run it as a credit, right? And then, and let me tell you though, it wasn't easy, because let me tell you what happened. When I went back, when she saw me, the girl that was a quote unquote manager, this is a big lady, maybe about 30, taller than me, sturdier than me, hair slicked back in a big long ponytail. Everybody's ghetto. But she, let me tell you what she did. So, when I started to come back that way, she started ignoring me. Like, she was like looking down. She wasn't doing anything, but she was, pretending to be occupied. So I stood there and waited for a minute. Then she walked over to another register and pretended to be bagging groceries. And so I was like, okay, she sees me waiting here. So I said, excuse me, ma'am. I said, excuse me. I said, my banker asked if you could try to run it as a credit, right? And so then you saw her sigh a little bit, right? Then she went over to, she went over to, I guess, the register. I don't know what she was taking her time. And then she was going around, just hanging around in the back. And then, I said, is it possible that you could try to run this as a credit? She sighed again, and she did it, and it went right through. And all you have to do to run it as a credit is to hit enter and say, I knew it was something like that because I had that happen in another place. And I said, well, going forward in the future, if I decide to make a purchase again, and that happens, what do? Do I just ask for a manager? And she was just like, no, they know that they can run it as a credit. So if they know they can run it as a credit, you knew that too. And you intentionally were just not running. I didn't say all that because I didn't have the energy. I didn't have the energy to waste. Now, when I was younger, I probably would have said all that. And why would I have said all that? Because I would have thought that I was educating them. But no, they know, they just intentionally not doing it. And so I got my stuff and I said, thank you. And I left. So yeah, it's intentional. I'm going to tell you about, work is always a weird thing to talk about, but I'm going to talk about it because it's the same thing. Energy stealers, energy vampires. For me, I'm on point, I'm not perfect, but if I get educated on something, immediately. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of times with these types of jobs that I be getting, okay, they're all like entry-level type jobs, just slam, bam, thank you, ma'am jobs, It's a step up from Craigslist, and it's probably what Craigslist is now, okay? Well, to be honest with you, with the way things are progressing. But it's better quality because you're at home in your personal environment and not around all those crazy people. But in those types of positions, there are good people, and I think the businesses are like probably small businesses that got started by, some white person with a little bit of money. Not a whole lot. They got loans or whatever they needed to do, But decent people. I get the feeling that they're pretty decent people, right? And so when they get black people that come in, they're thinking, okay, I'm going to give this black person an opportunity. Some of these black people that come in and they're going to give an opportunity, and I encourage that, give people a chance, give people an opportunity. So that's probably just the reason I'm here, but they're not prepared. They're not ready. They don't know what this, they don't know what they're doing. And, to be a manager, to be a supervisor, it takes some emotional intelligence. If you are not level-headed, if you are the type of person that panics, if you're the type of person that has a tantrum and needs attention, it's not for you. Yeah, it can be for you. And you can keep that job for many years and get raises and promotions, but you're not a good manager. Because if you are someone in that position and you start a fire because you don't get your way, because you don't use all the tools and resources, as a manager, you should always be cool, calm, and collected. There should be nothing to ever get you all hyped up and crazy because you have all the power. You have management tools. If you don't have management tools, you have the ability to request them and be taken seriously on that request. There's no reason for you to ever, And if you don't like something or someone, you can easily get rid of them. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, so level-headedness, level-headedness. And I think that's one of the things, going back over the years that I looked at about myself, sometimes your ability to manage yourself can make people crazy, you know, you know. And I've noticed differences about me too. Like I said, these days I don't have, okay, I'm coming across where that man was. So it's far out though, it's farther out. This is the parking lot that I was telling you about. I hadn't gotten there yet, but this is my first encounter when this guy came across me. It was bright like it is now, but it was about 6:45 in the daytime, right? So it was almost night, but it was really bright outside. You don't know, it doesn't get dark until about 9 o'clock now. And I was cutting through here, and I was probably like where those recycle bins were, somewhere between where this street is and the recycle bins. Things look farther away on this camera. They're closer than they look. And I was walking up. I think as I was walking up, I think I was about here or so. The guy was on his bicycle riding around this part here. He just came out of nowhere. I don't know if he was, I don't know where he was. But there are apartments way, 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 way back there. Those are expensive apartments. So he was on a bicycle. I was right here. And he started coming towards me. And I was, like the same way that lady at the grocery store was doing. I was blocking him. Basically I'm aware that he's there, but I'm not paying him any mind. And so then he's like, riding around checking me out. And he's like, oh, excuse me, do you have the time? And I just shrugged my shoulders and shook my head no, because I thought that he was going to keep coming unless I responded. He was going to be right up on me, So, and of course, you see all these stores around here, liquor store right there. He was on a bicycle. He could have went over to he could have went anywhere, but he went on to accost me. I'll show you a little bit more when I get closer to the other spot that I'm in, that on the way back. Let me show you. This is the Wendy's. You can't see it. It's small on the camera. It's closer than it is. The Wendy's I was talking about, but I'll show you. And this is when I was walking on the way back. Instead of coming this way, which I normally would have because it's shorter, you come through here, Little Caesars is through there, right? But I cut across out here to go towards the street because at nighttime, this whole parking, there's nothing here. It's just an empty parking lot. It's a ghost town, right? An absolute ghost town. And there's another furnishing store here, which may have, but I don't know if I'm going over there. Maybe on the way back, I'll stop back by there, but not on the way to. But yeah, so I had to go in between these bushes to get out by the street because I was here, like coming over this way, and then he accosted me on a bike, and then I was like, whatever I said, leave me alone, or and went this way, and I had to cut through the bushes. And there's a driveway right there, drive-through. So yeah, but yeah, energy, like I said, is so important, and that's why I say, this is what I'm learning now at 47. Am I? I don't know. I'm old, but at this ripe old age, is because it's not individual people, places, or things. It's the energy, the spirit, that spirit that poisons and seeps through everyone everywhere. That girl with that long braids or whatever, the last time she saw what was going on, she was kind of on my side. But then what happened after, I don't know if there was some talk, some discussion, or some meanness, and she didn't want to be a part of it, and she went to the other side. And remember when I was telling you about the homelessness and how, this situation was even worse, because I'm just trying to get where I'm going. And when I was homeless, nobody bothered you because they see you all the time. So, but when you're not, they're seeing what they can do, But when I first went through the legal thing, quarter to the homeless shelter, because, they say flight risk, but it's to condition you and acclimate you into being another type of person. It's to acclimate you into being subservient and to not trusting who you are and your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, right? So, and whether they know that's what it's meant to do, that is what it's meant to do. They may not know it. Just like people that work at different places, they don't know, they don't know ins and outs. They don't know everything there is to know about what they're doing. They're compartmentalized with this little piece, and they're told this is what this little piece is supposed to do. And I'll talk about that in just a minute as well. The universe comes down and it just tells you kind of everything. But So yeah, so this is the field. I had to walk across this field to go to the street. This is the drive-through. So I'm getting to that point, but I guess you don't have to look at me for me to talk. But and I had to climb down that hill to go over here to cut through those bushes. But okay. Well, anyways, back to me. So it's the spirit. You know, it's not an individual person or individual entity or place. It's a spirit that people allow to take over them, that negativity, you know. And so, you know, again, quarter to a homeless shelter, and everybody there was jumping on me or whatever, not literally, but not physically, but they were trying to instigate and cause a situation, right? And I remember it got to the point where I didn't even, you know, I told you, always look on the bright side. I didn't know how bad it was. The people that were running the place don't even really care. But there was one guy that was Hispanic or something other than black and something other than white. He had olive skin and he was real tall and big. And I remember when I told him, you know, about it, he went into, I guess it's like a dorm room or something like that. And he told me when he started coming in, he said, hang back a little bit, hang back. You know, and these people that are in these places are like street people, you know, they've been through it, they know what's up. And so I hang back, and then he looked at me and he was like, why are they all ganging up on you like that? And I was like, I don't know. And then what ended up happening, one of the girls, again, one of the quote unquote sweet girls, she was sitting on her bunk and she was watching everything. She was young, probably 18 or 19. And she was just like, I don't know, they all jumping at her, you know? And so, but after a while, you know, people have the belief or the fallacy of belief that just because the majority does a certain thing or believes a certain thing is right or okay, or if that everybody's doing that, there must be a reason. I used to think that way too. You know, if anybody's been in the legal system, had legal issues, it's because, let me see what this car is about to do. They want to cut across the parking lot. So, you know, but so just because those things happen, it must be, I used to believe that too. I said, if a police officer stopped you, you must have done something wrong. If you got into a legal situation, you must have done something wrong. That was truly my belief, you know? And so, you know, if you got 20 people that's jumping at you, or, you know, this has been a repetitive thing in your life, living a lifestyle, that means that it's something wrong, you know, that you did something. But no, people are easily influenced and manipulated and maneuvered. It doesn't take much, you know, like I say, if you energy, transference of energy. If you stand in line at a grocery store, you're having an awesome blast off day. You know, person in front of you starts yelling at their kid and they're jerking a kid and acting all crazy. It takes you down a couple of notches, right? The next thing you know, the person that's up there with the cashier or whatever trying to do an exchange or a return, you know, they're getting into it with the cashier. They're yelling about how, you know, they should be getting this and whatever, and they start starting to curse the cashier out. Your energy comes down a couple more notches, right? And then it gets to the point where, because you're being exposed to all this negativity and all this negative energy, that you start to get mad at the person that may be the victim of that, because it's infecting and impacting your day. So you side with the fact that, hey, you know, just get out of the line, you know, or hey, you shouldn't have kids. That's my thing. You shouldn't have, and I believe you shouldn't, because the world is really messed up. But I'm about to go into this place here, Harbor Freight, which is ironic because this guy wanted to cut across the parking lot in his car with his wife or his girlfriend and damn near hit me instead of taking the actual streetway, you know, and lo and behold, they're ending up in the same place that I'm going anyways. And so we'll see what the interaction is there. But again, you know, it's energy, transference of energy. And that's why it's so important that you protect your energy. Because it's very easy for that negative energy to come out and get at you. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's real. But yeah, so sometimes things are intentional, you know. And like I said, if you ever have a job or something like that, and someone probably acted inappropriately, and You know, they're trying to impact you in a way to get you frazzled, but you're not. and it and you know, it puts them into a tantrum, like the girls at the grocery store, you know, pouting and looking all stank faced because they wanted you to follow suit and to fall into that same energy that they have, but you don't have that energy, you know. But anyways, I'm about to go in here.